Nice throw!
Hello my friends. Today we are going to make an Avicii trap song. But first a little bit of storytelling. Premise: I want to publish the song, but in the end I changed the second melody part you can hear because I will not tell copyright, so one don't know when I will release the track. But if you can rate it in the comments, I will be happy. The original idea was only to make a song and publish it. In fact, it was the song I speak about in one of the last videos on the channel. And the original idea of the song was inspired by a similar song Avicii made, but never released, called Liar and Thief. So, after a while, I started to working on this song. I made various and different versions, and after some times, when, as I said before, I was ready to publish it, I rejected the option. So I let go of the idea of the song and I continued working on other things. But, in the video about Axwell and Ingrosso with Vital, I founded this comment. So I said, why not? And after I said, wait, I've got an id of that type of song, why I don't finish it and I publish it. So I restarted working on the song, and in the end I finished it and I published it. But now let's get into the song producing. If I found a singer, or just a vocal that fits, I will also publish the vocal edit. Okay, so, as you can see, it's not a very organized project, but also the most big artists don't have an organized project. But now let's speak about the leads. The leads are not so much complicated, they were made by only 4 sounds, but they can create a big frequencies range. One by one the sounds sound like this. And together they sound like this. For the processing I used a bunch of stuff. First an OTT. After a reverb linked to a peak controller. After an EQ. After another EQ, but this time used only for the build parts. After you can see this fake retrocolor, but really I don't used it. For finish, as I said before, I created some automation clips here and there. Really for finish, I also created at the start of the track this little pluck of the leads that reversed and reverbed sound like this. Oh no, I forgot a little part of the song. In fact, in the second half of the second drop, I created this little part with another melody, if you want to call it like this. And I just used the same processing of the other leads. And so it sound like this. Chords. For the chords, I varied a little bit. The first chords you can hear were strings that I think can help a lot the mood of the track. So yes, just simple cellos, with a simple EQ for the processing. After the second, different chords you can hear were made by a piano, and a Garrix style sound. For the processing I just used an EQ, a dimension expander that doesn't work, and a kickstart. The third pair of chords you can hear are other cellos that play different notes. And these chords don't have processing on. For finish, the 4 pair of chords are some angelic sounds that play the same chords of the cellos.
After that I just decided, fuck, I'm gonna quit.
For the processing this time, I used a classical EQ. After a bittersweet, that is a free transient processor. If you don't know what a transient processor is, I will simply explain now. A transient processor is just a VST that changes the attack of a sound. A more sweet parameter, as they say on the VST, make sound sounding more chill. And a more bitter parameter, make our sound sounding more aggressive. But now let's continue with the explanation of the processing. In the end I used an OTT, and a kickstart. So that's it for the chords. Now it's the turn of the bass. And also here we have a lot to speak about. The first bass we can see is a 808, as the name says. And it follows simply the bass line of the song, but sometimes it have some glides 1 octave higher. And the second pattern that has 2 in the name changes only for this final part that makes our track more interesting. For the processing of the bass I used a frontier, that is a compressor. I don't know why I used it, but I used it. Guys, sometimes you have to be more open to use theoretical wrong things. So, after we have an EQ. After a saturator, that saturates only a band of the frequencies. And for finish we have a reverb that is another thing usually catalogued as wrong on the bass. So now let's speak about the most central bass you can hear in the first part. This is composed by a big bass that is the same of Without You by Avicii. And the second bass is a simple sub-bass. For the processing on the basses I just used the same effects of the 808, but this time one of the 2 basses has the sidekine. I forgot also to say that the basses and the kick are in mono. For finish in the second part of every drop I added also a little arp that sounds like this. So that's it for the instruments. The drums are also a little bit long and complicated, but hey, for create a word hit you have to work hard and make a lot of drums. Apart this let's get into. The first thing you can see are these snares that make our track more interesting. And with this snares we have also some sweep ups. After, we have just a normal EDM kick pattern with a normal trap clap pattern. Also a vinyl sound and a sub drop. In the next part we have a change on the kicks pattern. And after we have the entrance of some rhythm elements like this cowbells. And this ethnic percussions. And also some hi-hats. For finish, we have also the entrance of some natural acoustic elements, like some human and animal verses. And also a pluck sound. In the drop, instead, all the rhythm elements get out. And in the end, you can see an Avicii swell, and a drums pattern. Now we are passed to the second part of the song. Here in the first 4 hits, you have only an impact and a kick. After in the second 4 hits, you have the entrance of a clock, some cowbells, some human verses and for finish for more spicy, 2 pluck sounds. After, you can see the return of all the rhythm ambience elements. But this time, you can see that with them, you have the entrance of an electric guitar, and some snares, for variate more our track. Finally, In the second drop instead, all remains the same of the first drop, apart that the new pluck sound remains, and the Avicii swell was moved in the first part of the drop, and in the second part you have also the cowbells coming in. All of these elements don't really have a scheme, because they all are putted down thinking, oh, this can be good, so I put it down. It's all just like this. But finally, here is the final result. Guys, I hope you liked the tutorial, that this time was a little bit longer and different. See ya.